here it is. Check that out.
PT, I thought we were going to go break this motor in. What's going on here?
Got a little bit of that. Oh, God, man. We bought this turd of an Evo 6 2 years ago and rebuilt the entire car inside and out, including a fully built engine, only to have disaster strike on the dyno. It sat in the corner of our shop for over 2 years, but we've now put it back together, including a fresh engine build, and assembled it with only the best aftermarket parts, then fired it up for the first time. And now it's almost ready for its first drive and dyno session. Well, this thing has served us well, and man, this was an eyesore in this engine bay considering what is coming. Check this out from Artec Performance. Oh my goodness. This is their brand new Evo, essentially 4 to 9 carbon fiber intake, and it is a stunning work of art. Ben over there continues to amaze me with his product. You can see this is something that is completely new. You do not see intakes built out like this, but for me, this design is super cool just because it takes away the whole showpiece of the filter being the main thing that you usually see. It's usually on there like that. Now, this is covered, it goes underneath, and it is gonna look stunning. We are actually super fortunate to have what is the world's first version of this. And this is in their 13K carbon fiber weave. And Ben also sent us one of their other ones. So here it is, check that out. Certainly really rad, a very stark contrast to this one here. He also offers this in that like carbon Kevlar, which I don't think would suit this engine bay. I think we're going with this one. You guys will notice that an Artec logo is missing right here. Those weren't ready in production when he shipped this out. And you can also see that this setup here has the ability for recirculation right here or not. You need a -20 barb, I guess you would call this, which really isn't much of a barb, but let's see if I can make this work. After a few unsuccessful attempts, this Samco hose right here seems like it is gonna do the trick. Unfortunately, this is a larger diameter than the outlet here, so you can see it's a little bit stretched. This isn't ideal that it's touching the coolant, but I think we're gonna be all right. I do like the idea of recirculating much better than just having it vent to atmosphere. I had to whip up this custom bracket, which mounts to the slave cylinder for the clutch and will go up to this mounting point here. Ben recommends that this intake be mounted to the engine so that when everything moves, this intake moves with the engine rather than chassis mounting it. Here is our finished product, and wow, what a transformation in terms of the engine bay. This levels this engine bay up so much. It's stunning to me. I love it so much. What I don't love is this little heat shield here that we built out when we had the large tubular manifold. This was to kind of protect our sensor here, but we don't need this anymore because that Artec manifold there, look at it. It's so small, there's not gonna be that much radiating of heat anymore there, so I think we're good. What do you guys think? I think that looks better. The less gold, the better, in my opinion, at this point, DP. What do you think?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a nice little touch, but at the same time, the cleaner, the better. We already got the purple going here, which is a lot. So you can see, I'll reiterate once again, we got the recirc there. We've got that, the valve cover breather hose back into there. So, man, we are looking proper here.
All right, now that we've wrapped up the engine bay, unbelievable. It's time to move on to finishing off the rest of the car here. We're just putting the brakes back on, and if you watch the original build series, you'll know that we had the front calipers and the rear calipers too refinished by Detective Coatings out of, I think, was it Virginia or West Virginia, Pete? And these are StopTech slotted rotors as well as StopTech sport pads. So we have a nice fresh brake setup here. Brakes bolted down. We are installing this deflector that bolts to this bracket here and actually deflects airflow from underneath the car to the front brakes. So it's basically like a brake cooling device. It's not a duct in a traditional sense, but it kind of does the same thing that a brake duct would do. And We know from data from companies like Hone Developments that actually make these for Hondas that these make a big difference in brake temperature. They are actually very effective. It's also got really nicely integrated actual ducts up at the front here that feed off of the front lip. This one goes to the oil cooler and vents underneath here. Other one vents up into this area, so we're thinking that would have fed the OE intake, but obviously it doesn't feed it in a traditional sense anymore, although that K&N filter up there will probably still get some airflow from that. So pretty cool features on this thing. It is definitely a serious performance car.
And I guess Honda didn't make any of this stuff ever for their cars, did they, DP?
No, Honda was always about, doing it on a budget. It's just their engines were indestructible. They didn't worry about this kind of stuff. And typically Honda's brakes were pretty undersized in this era. So now got to give the nod to Mitsubishi on this one. And now it's time to play musical wheels and tires, a game we've played a lot of on the Evo 6. If you followed the original build series, you know we switched from an 18-inch set of Enkis down to these 17x9 Enki PF05s in this dark silver finish. And I think it's a really clean, 5-spoke always looks good on anything, doesn't it? But we wanted to kind of pay homage to the TME edition, or Tommy Mackinnon edition Evo 6, which runs a 10-spoke wheel that's actually quite similar in design to these Enki Triumphs in this dark silver color. I think it's a really clean style. It's going to look good on the car. As for tires, of course, we have wrapped this new Enki in our go-to summer tire. These are the Continental Extreme Contact Sport O2s. They are a 340 tread wear extreme performance summer tire, and they perform exceptionally well in the wet and the dry. And you'll notice they have these new 3D sipes in the outer shoulder, which add stability, give them better dry performance. And of course, they are still class-leading wet performing tires. In fact, a lot of endurance racing teams are using these as their wet tires these days. So we know they're awesome in the rain, and we know from our own experience that they're fantastic in the dry too. So we're certainly not giving up any performance by going to these. And here is our wheel spacer. These are ST Suspension hub centering rings on their 10 mil universal style spacer. And the beauty of this is just change out that centering ring to whatever hub diameter you have, and bam, there you go, hub centric 10 mil spacer on there. We did notice we actually needed the spacer to clear the spokes on the PF05s. We don't need them on this wheel to clear the brakes. We don't need them on these because of the spoke design has more room, but we still want the spacer visually to get the wheel out from being a 17x9 plus 40 to being effectively now a plus 30.
In the rear, we have added a 5 mil spacer just to bring this wheel out a tiny amount. Unfortunately, with these cars, if you want a really flush look, you have to essentially destroy what is all of the inner plastic and arch of these fender flares and a little bit of the bodywork. It's not great. So to me, this is probably as far outwards as we can come without really getting into crazy camber and all this stuff. But I really like the look of these wheels, specifically the color. Before the other wheels just had a bit of a clash, where this silver on this silver looks really good. Yes, this car now looks very silver, but it has a really nice OEM plus look. And now it's just a matter of dialing in a little bit of the ride height. So the rear looks like it's just a hair lower than the front. But this wheel here, I've centered the steering wheel, and you can see we have a metric ton of toe out here. So we've got a lot of work to do to get this alignment set up.
Rather than doing an elaborate 5-minute montage of us busting out all the pro tools and polishing this thing,
Which you already did, DP. We did clean this car properly.
We did 2 or 3 years ago. So really the paint is in pretty good shape, and it just needs sort of this light layer of shop dust washed off of it. And to do that, we're going to use Simon Eyes' waterless wash and wax. So it's basically a spray detailer in a spray bottle where we can spritz this thing. And we're also using Simon Eyes' edgeless microfiber towels. Pete actually bought some of these Kirkland ones, which are the cheapest ones we could find. Pete likes cheap a lot of the times, and unfortunately this was marring the paint on the FD. It was like literally leaving scratches in it.
I gotta learn the hard way, man.
So those go in the bin, or they get used as rags, and the Simonized edgeless ones that we have used on the FD and now we're gonna use on the Evo, we found were much softer. They weren't scratching that paint, so this paint should be just fine. PT, I thought we were gonna go break this motor in. What's going on here?
Well, guys, you're not gonna believe this. Normally what I like to do is just literally take the car up and down the street just to make sure there's nothing leaking before we go shoot the break-in. And I did that and I noticed that there was no boost. It was not making any boost. So we got back and we just did some quick preliminary checks, you know, the typical stuff, boost leak test, which was fine. Then we did, you know, check the wastegate to make sure everything was good, all that stuff. Everything was good. And then I realized, it's coming out this way. No, it's coming, the coolant, DP, the coolant. The damn coolant.
Oh, well, the floor's already dirty.
The damn coolant. So, let me explain here. This housing, this whole cartridge here, is from our non-reverse rotation turbo, because I was like, well, why don't we just swap the cartridge instead of having to change all the coolant lines and the oil line and the drain line? Like, let's just leave this as is, swap over the compressor side and the exhaust side. And here is our reverse rotation cartridge. And I realized you can see the wheels are actually different. And what's happening is this turbo is not building any boost because the wheels on both the compressor and the exhaust side are not facing the right direction. So it was not making any boost, and it was like crazy, but this is literally, you know, a 1 in a million scenario where there's not a lot of people that are gonna be swapping housings like we did. Usually you just bolt on the turbo, so you don't have to worry about this. Now I know I will never do this again. The right way to do it is just to put the new turbo on as it is. Don't take it apart, don't swap parts if it's a reverse rotation or if it isn't, and you'll be fine. So, we're gonna fix this. We're not gonna bore you with the details of putting this back on. So that is it. We now have ourselves what should be a working turbo. And again, what a weird mistake. I laugh at it now, but I probably should have known that. Anyways, this thing is ready for a rip now. Wow, monumental moment here, DP. Look at it.
No doubt, we're driving.
We have ourselves an Evo that works. More importantly, listen, let's listen for boost.
Oh yeah.
It's there.
It's there.
It's there, I can feel it.
Yep.
It's peppy.
It is.
Oh man,
Yeah.
It's so nice to be driving this car. I've forgotten what an Evo is all about.
I
This
know,
is
man.
peak Evo for me, man. Look at this thing. Look at the steering wheel.
I know.
It's just like, it has nothing that you don't need. AC, digital climate control, a radio, look at this, one knob.
One knob, yeah.
It's just,
Yeah.
this is like,
2 extra knobs now, but
Well,
yeah,
yeah,
it is really 90s goodness, isn't it? And,
Yeah.
and it feels really raw.
oh man, does it ever, like,
Feels very alive.
Again, our streets here are the worst, and we've got KWs on this thing. It is riding actually very well.
Pretty good, yeah.
But like, look at, it's just so
Yeah, that's
tight.
what I love about
It's
these
so
cars.
tight.
Yeah.
It's just so good,
Yeah.
man. Oh.
As a Honda nerd, I always tell people this is like in a turbo all-wheel drive Type R.
It really is.
That's what it feels like to me. It's got that raw, very immediate feel to it. Hey, come on now, don't go crazy. Don't go crazy.
I'm not even touching the throttle. It just sounds so good.
Break her in gently now. Come on.
It sounds so good. I can't help myself.
So if you think back to when we broke the original motor in, we used HP Academy's break-in procedure, which I think is a pretty standard, fresh engine build and procedure.
Yes.
Which is, just add load for about 10 seconds between say 2,000 and 4,000 RPM, and then take the load out for 30 seconds, then add load in for 10.
Load it up. That's about 5 PSI.
And the idea is to, put enough load into it that the rings are being expanded and are making a good seal with the cylinders. And then the 30-second out of load is to let the rings cool down. So we don't want to overheat the rings, but we want to seat them in well.
Gotcha.
So that's what this procedure is, and we're going to do this for about 15 or 20 minutes, according to HP Academy, and then she's pretty much ready to go at that point.
And I'm in love, DP.
Dude, I love this car too. Whoa. This is the right-hand drive light.
This is the right-hand drive. I saw that car.
Yeah, it's red now.
You're good.
Gone.
So that's there it is. There's the downside.
I saw my life flash before my eyes. Yeah, right-hand drive in a left-hand drive country is not the greatest, but we've complained enough about that.
Yeah.
And this car doesn't deserve any complaints at this point. It's alive. It's driving. It feels spicy already. Yeah, it's good.
It's nice. I like it a lot. All right, well, we're going to keep doing this, and then that's it.
Head to the dyno.
It is time to go to the dyno, guys.
All right, fellas, we are here at Levine Motorsports in Elmira, Ontario, just north of Waterloo. And as you can see, we are strapping the Evo down on their Mustang dyno. Eric, the tuner here, is probably best known for his work in the Honda scene. Like he's, James Houghton's engine builder and tuner, and Chris Boersma, engine builder, tuner. I think he handles everything with that car, but he tunes everything these days. In fact, he was just on his way home from a Grid Life event where he tunes like 6 of the top 10 cars in the touring car series there. So he's become a very well-known, very respected tuner, and we thought all-wheel drive car, a friend of ours who knows how to tune these things, let's do it. So he has very thoughtfully taken a bunch of timing out. We're doing everything we can to keep this motor together and obviously make some good power. So without further ado, let's get him in the car and see how it does. We're done, and the motor is still in one piece, so thank you very much, Eric, for that. And man, the power looks really, really good. What did we get to peak number
so good
here? 406 and 343, we'll call it. And a very nice smooth power curve. So
on a Mustang dyno.
Yeah, which rates a little lower typically than a dyno jet.
Typically, yeah.
So these are very, very healthy numbers. It was 21 pounds, is that right?
21 and a half for the most part, and then we just creeped up deep into the 22s there.
At the top to kind of keep it climbing so it doesn't feel like it's starting to hit a wall kind of idea.
Yep.
You showed us earlier when you were working on the whole knock setup how you were able to basically tune the knock tables.
Yeah, so we set up all the knock thresholds. At low boost, you figure out what your engine noise is, and then from there you create your knock threshold. And then we have per cylinder knock control that gets zeroed out every time you turn the key off.
Right.
So that if you have a better tank of gas or a worse tank of gas, the ECU will just take care of it.
Yeah, it's super cool with the link. I was blown
Yeah.
away. We didn't even know that existed. So
No,
good
we
on
didn't.
Link.
Yeah, and
good on Eric.
Good on
Thank you,
Eric for
Eric.
educating us on that. So, I mean, as you guys know, that's basically how we murdered the old motor without knock protection. Now we have it, and I feel like we can just go and enjoy this car without the sort of stress, without that specter looming over us anymore. So it feels like a fresh start. This is really awesome to see such a nice power curve and just to hear it running so clean on the dyno.
And
thank you so much.
Exactly. Eric was so thorough. Thank you, Eric.
Yeah.
We certainly appreciate you went through everything. Like he even, did the boost control there, brought it up a little bit so it feels a little bit more peppy down low.
Down low,
Like,
yeah.
You
and
really
carried
put the
boost
time
wheel on
into
top
it.
end.
So
yeah.
we appreciate it.
We do,
And
yeah.
just using some of the features that are there.
Yeah, yeah. You obviously spent a lot of time with Link because you made it look easy. And if you guys are in Southern Ontario and you need a dyno tuner or an engine builder or a race car builder, then be sure to check out Levine Motorsports. They're here in Elmira, just north of Kitchener-Waterloo.
Turbo spool.
Love it.
On the worst roads again.
We're back at the shop on the roughest roads in the world. If we were smart, we would have gone for a rip up in Elmira, but it was late.
We forgot our GoPros.
Oh, that's right.
I didn't bring the GoPros, DP.
That's right, you're right.
You got to bring the GoPros. Now we got a dump truck in front of us. I got potholes I'm dodging. This thing, I think, is an undercover ripper, man. Like,
oh, for sure.
It is, I think, now what I believe is the perfect street car for an Evo 6.
Power band wise, I agree. Yeah, it's perfect.
A nice quick spooling turbo mated with what is, I think, an amazing shifter. Like, this thing feels so nice and precise and crisp. Listen to that exhaust.
It's amazing. I'm blown away how civilized this titanium exhaust sounds. Like it's got no rasp, it's got no tinniness.
Yes.
It's really deep and clean, and wow, I'm blown away by it.
I believe part of that is because we have a catalytic converter on here. That certainly, muffles.
But the muffler and the resonator are certainly high quality too, and whatever he's done there, he's done it right. It's really nice.
This engine build, honestly, thank you, Adrian, once again. He's put together such a good motor. This motor ran flawless on the dyno. It did. Feels good.
Yes.
Like
very low NVH.
Yeah, and just like the whole package seems so well suited together.
It does.
You know what I mean?
It does.
Given the fact that this makes over 400 wheel with the cat.
Yeah.
Like on pump gas.
On a reasonable amount of boost.
On 21 PSI.
That is amazing. That is amazing.
Yeah. And kudos to Eric again. He really went above and beyond, like tuned this thing up so nicely for us.
He really did. He taught us a lot about how the Link software works, which was nice.
Man.
It rips, man. It really rips.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's like so quick and instant. Like, and the gears are short on this car.
Yeah.
Like, this power band is so usable, right? I had a almost 500 wheel horsepower Evo 8, and my biggest struggle with that car was it would just like hit so hard, and then I'd be having to bang gears right away. Where this thing actually, I feel is like manageable still. You can drive it. It's not like
usable,
crazy fast.
Yeah.
But like, look, we're at 3,000 RPM. I lean into it. It builds boost, and here we go, party time. We're at 20 PSI, just at 4,000 RPM.
Yeah. No, it's so drivable. If you guys want to know how the Evo 6 drives in a parking lot, now is your chance.
That's right.
It drives very well.
Look at this.
It is the perfect parking lot car.
It's just so well mannered.
It is actually. You're right. It's quite civilized.
Such a
just
well mannered
tiptoeing
car.
around.
Like, look at this. When you sit here, we can talk. It's super quiet.
Yeah, you're right.
Like, it's just.
Yeah.
It's really nice. And then when you want to rip on it, you just, go full send here. Oh, man. Come on. Tell me that isn't amazing.
It's good. It's really good.
And the power band is so linear. It's just like, it doesn't have any type of like dips. You can't feel it in the RPM. Like it pulls up top. Once the boost hits, it just feels like a flat line. Like the power band is so nice.
Yeah, it really is a broad
This turbo, this G25 550, I think it's a winner, man. For this setup,
2-liter turbo.
It's perfect.
It is perfect.
With that 9.2 housing combined with that, you know, Arctec manifold there. Like it's,
yeah, it really is the perfect setup. And by the way, this is also 90s perfection inside here. Like low cowl, amazing visibility, huge greenhouse.
Yes.
You feel like you can see the whole world. You can see all four corners of the car. You just feel like, even though I'm not driving it, you feel like you're in total control. Because you just have such a commanding view of the road.
The size of this car, like the package of this car, name, I think, you know, a more cool, aggressive looking Japanese sports car.
There's nothing cooler than these, man.
This is, I think, peak Evo for me, Evo 6. And I love that the 8s and 9s, they also look fantastic.
They do.
But this
they're
thing
awesome.
just, then you just got a little bit of that. Oh my God, man.
It's so good. It's so good. And I love that it's not stupid loud when you're ripping on it.
Yeah.
Like, you can rip on it and feel like you're not waking the neighbors, you're not pissing anybody off.
Yeah.
Like you can really enjoy it in a guilt-free manner.
I don't know if there's anything I would change on this car, DP.
It's pretty much perfect,
Like
man.
this is perfect street Evo. You know, like just it's perfection.
What a car. The more I drive it, the more I fall in love with it. It truly is a special thing. And the driving feel and just everything, its mannerisms are wonderful cars, like we just explained. The one thing that has been bugging me and Dave right now is, it's hard probably for you guys to see this on camera, but if you look down low, this car has a crazy amount of rake. So the front end looks like it's all the way down. That being said, we set the wheel gap properly all around, but what's happened here is, I feel like the way these arches are made, you can see they just have a lower profile. So what we need to do to kind of get this car to sit a little bit more level is lower the rear, which is what I'm gonna do right now, and let's see what it looks like. And you can see the rear is now significantly lower from a visual standpoint from, you know, the wheel gap. However, if you look at the actual rake of the vehicle, it is almost all but gone. It's still there just a little bit, but it's way better now, I feel, than it was before. So small little detail, but I think it certainly fixes the overall look, and man, does this car look good. So that is it, guys. Thank you so much for watching this episode. What a good one it was. We put this car back together, made it whole, and man, what a vehicle it is. So thanks for watching, and we will see you in the next one. If you're looking to give us some support, think about hitting that like, subscribing, and of course, we do have a Patreon where we do monthly podcasts, and we interact with you guys, give you previews of projects. The guys already on Patreon know what this car made for power, know the wheels and all that stuff before those videos are ever published. So it's a great way to connect with us.